If you've just joined us, hello and welcome. My name is Nick. I'm one of the naturals here at the aquarium. Now, in just another few moments, our diver Tori, who you can see getting ready in the water over here, will be ready to feed all the amazing animals in this kelp forest. But we're going to give her a few more moments to get adjusted here in the exhibit. For now, though, I'd like to introduce what we're all looking at right here, the kelp forest itself. What we're looking at is essentially an underwater rainforest, or a whole-on community with so many different shapes and sizes of life in literally every single level of this kelp forest. You've got lots of wolf eels and animals that hide in the crevices of the rocks down below here. You've got all these other fish that swim over here in the midwater. And then towards the very surface of the canopy of the kelp forest, you have even smaller animals like those anchovies, those tiny little kelp perch. And even animals like sea otters love to wrap themselves up in this kelp. So this tall brown algae growing right behind me here is an incredibly important living organism here on our planet. Not only capturing lots of carbon, but also providing a food source and medicine for indigenous peoples for thousands of years. And this kelp forest right here is pretty much a diver's eye view of what you could find if you were to hop into the Monterey Bay itself. And we want to showcase that authentic view as best as we could here at the aquarium. But 40 years ago, when this building first opened, no one else had giant kelp growing live on exhibit. So we had to figure out what this kelp needed to thrive. Through a lot of trial and error, we figured that there were 3 secret ingredients. The first of which was sunlight. So there's no roof on this exhibit. All the light coming in right now is the natural light coming in from the outside. And we are especially blessed with a sunny day like today, because then you get to see all these wonderful shadows get cast. And especially that second floor window on that right-hand side by around 4 p.m. gets probably the best lighting of the day. The kelp gets backlit, you get all these wonderful rainbows, so be sure to check that out later on. You can even see the open-air roof of this exhibit if you head up to the 3rd floor this side of the aquarium. Just keep going up the stairs, and over there you can also see the second secret ingredient which kelp needed, which was wave motion. Out in the wild, ocean currents and waves move kelp in a nice gentle swaying motion. So to help simulate that, we built a giant plunger and a wave machine at the top of this exhibit. We do turn it off as our divers are getting ready to feed though, just so nobody gets seasick. But again, come back later in the day, sit and sway with the kelp. It's my favorite breathing exercise to do. Now the final secret ingredient that kelp needed itself was the nutrients that floats through the water column. And we are incredibly lucky because here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, we sit in the middle of a national marine sanctuary. And the waters off of our back deck are incredibly pristine. And we are actually able to pump that water directly into the aquarium. If you look at the monitor on the left-hand side, you're now seeing a map of the 2 intake pipes that we have. Now those intake pipes are constantly pumping in 1,500 gallons of seawater every minute into this exhibit. During the daytime, we have filters turned on just so we can all enjoy the view, but at nighttime, those filters are turned off, and all the nutrients that flow through that water column can flow freely through. Not only feeding and fertilizing the kelp, but also those algae spores can call the kelp forest exhibit their home. A lot of the algae species you see growing on the back wall, we didn't even plant. Those just came in directly from the bay itself. A testament as to how protected and pristine those waters are. Although I'm sure by now a good handful of you have stopped listening to me. They're looking at my friend Tori, who's right behind me right here. My friends, this is Tori. We will know that she's ready to chat with us once we hear that iconic Darth Vader style breath from her regulator. So let's give her another moment or so. But Tori, we do see you in there, doing pretty well, at least mostly through all those fish. Hello, still waiting for that audio to come on in. But for now, we'll just keep hanging out with you, watching all these animals come right on up.
Hi, Nick, can you hear me?
Hey, there we go. Hey, Tori, how are you doing in there?
Good, how are you? I can kind of see you through this wall of fish I have right here.
Yeah, mostly. They seem pretty keen not only on your bubbly personality, but also those big, wonderful buckets of food you have right there.
Yes, they definitely are more interested in the food than they are in me right now. And it looks like they're my best friends.
Absolutely. Now, Tori, what do you have in those food buckets right there?
Yeah, I have a really wide variety of food here. So you might see these green chunks of stuff that are coming out. It's actually some vitamins that we have for our fish in here. I also have some clams, some little anchovies, some squid, and some little baby shrimp like krill for some of our littler mouths over here.
Awesome. Definitely definitely a nice variety of different sized food items for all these different sized mouths. I know a lot of these fish swimming right up in your face right now. Those are a lot of the perches. We've got different surf perches, some rainbow perches, some zebra perches, lots and lots of different ones all coming up to try and get a bite to eat. But you also have a handful of leopard sharks swimming around you right now.
Yeah, so if you guys saw, I just made that one a prawn, and they actually love, oh my goodness, you're trying to take some more. They love prawns and squids and stuff like that. And if you notice, their mouths are actually on the bottom of their body, because they are bottom feeders. So they'll do kind of that behavior that they're doing right now against me and against the window. On the bottom of the seafloor to get their food.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why I love these leopard sharks. You know, they're a perfect example that there are so many different shark species out there in the world, and not all of them fill that apex predator role that we oftentimes think sharks do. These leopard sharks are a perfect example that some of these sharks just swim over shallow sandy seafloors looking for smaller food items that live below them. Literally, as Tori was saying, like a bottom feeder. And they also have those beautiful spot patterns, which I think get accentuated by the wonderful sunlight we have shining through on a nice day like today. And that's how those leopard sharks have gotten their name, by having those spots which look similar to that of land leopards. But Tori, I notice there's also another fish in here that has some pretty big chompers. In fact, it's slowly starting to approach you on kind of right behind me. It's got that big orange stripe in the middle, that really big forehead, and some really, really massive chompers. Starting to make a slow approach, literally right behind the center pillar right here. What fish is that one?
Yeah, so that is our California sheephead. And that guy has some pretty big teeth that I actually would not want to get my finger stuck in. So his teeth are used for crushing things like urchins, clams, even mussels, stuff like that. So he has some pretty big teeth you can actually see if you get close. It kind of looks like he has like fangs almost. Especially when I want to get your finger stuck in there.
Absolutely. You can kind of see right as you were talking about that animal swam right over here on this more left-hand side window. But folks, keep an eye out for that California sheephead once it comes on in to get some food. But one thing I do want to highlight is another California sheephead right over here. You can see it kind of swimming down below the window. That one has more of a solid pink color, but still has that white chin. Now that right there is a perfect example of what a female California sheephead looks like. This one right here with that orange stripe in the middle, that is the male. But all those California sheepheads actually start out their life as a female. Every single one is born as a girl, but then, if there's enough resources in one area to support multiple males, the larger, more dominant female will transition into a male. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, super cool. Just got a shark kiss.
I know, Tori, you seem very, very popular with these leopard sharks right now.
Yes.
Where would be a spot where you can find these leopard sharks out there in the wild?
Yeah, so these leopard sharks are actually really popular down in Southern California in San Diego. There's actually a beach down in San Diego where they come into the hunt. So where they go to have their babies. So in the summertime, around in September, you'll find hundreds of these sharks down there. And you can actually swim with them.
And it's funny you mention that because that's actually what inspired me to do what I'm doing today. I had the privilege of growing up in San Diego and was able to swim with these leopard sharks out there in the wild, having that face-to-face experience with them. And that's why these animals right here are probably my favorite animals in the entire aquarium. A really amazing animal that people can have a pretty close interaction with as long as we're showing them that space and respect they deserve. Now, Tori, I've also noticed that there is a massive school of northern anchovies kind of swimming right up above your head over to at least your left-hand side, but they haven't come down for any of this food you have. What's up with that?
So they have really small mouths. But the teeny tiny little shrimp that I have in here would be a little bit too big for their mouths. So I actually have a dive buddy up on top, which is weird, especially if any of you guys are divers. You know that no divers can dive alone. But my dive buddy is up top and she has a big bucket of krill, which are teeny tiny shrimp. And they're a schooling fish. And she's going to throw a bucket of that in right now. And so you guys can look up top and see a big pink cloud come. Because the anchovies will start to school up above to start eating that krill.
And we did actually, in fact, see that krill hit the surface of the water. So a huge shout out to our dive tender at the very top of this exhibit, Sarah. Thank you for doing all your work up there. I know you can hear me. We can't see you, but we do appreciate all the work that you're doing. And now, folks, you can starting to see those anchovies swim on over to gather that krill that's floating through the water. And those anchovies right there form one of my favorite views here in the aquarium. For those of you who were here at the open sea earlier, saw that we got to see those sardines get fed. But these anchovies up here do a similar schooling behavior. And especially right here, I like to imagine all these little anchovies like the individual brushstroke on a living Van Gogh painting. They look so beautiful all moving together. And all these animals right here really come out together in their own communities. And we can do lots of different things to help protect those communities. Whether it's the creation of national marine sanctuaries like the one off of our back deck, or even all of us supporting a more sustainable seafood option is another great way for us to make a slightly more informed decision that can help out all these animals that we see in here. And a really great resource for that is, again, the seafood watch program that we have here at the aquarium. These really handy little guys that show us what that most sustainable seafood option is. And Tori, it looks like you've got a pretty cool version of that in there.
I do. I have a pretty big waterproof version, so maybe not quite pocket size. And it is a great resource. The leopard sharks love to check and make sure that they're on that red list on the seafood watch, which means that you want to avoid eating them.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can teach those leopard sharks how to read one of these days, but they're working on it. They are absolutely working on it. And while I don't have that cool waterproof version that Tori has, again, I do have those paper guide versions. If you are curious, y también tengo en español. But Tori, were you about to say something right now?
Oh, no, you're great.
Oh, awesome. Well, no, thank you so much. Now, Tori, at the very start of the feeding, I had asked all the folks out here to close their eyes and think of one word that they think of when they look at the kelp forest. Right now, I'd love to hear from you. What word comes to your mind as you dive into these amazing habitats?
Yeah. I think if I wasn't doing a feeding right now with all these fish right here on me, it actually is really calm and relaxing. You know, it seems a little bit chaotic right now, but being out in nature and out in the wild and the kelp forest, it is so calming. But honestly, I feel like the one word to describe it had to be diversity. We have so much diversity in the kelp forest. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of different types of species in here, and all with different adaptations to have different types of food, different ways of life, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Both calming and diversity, I think, are really, really accurate descriptions. It's really wonderful to hear your perspective of it, both out there in the wild and here in this exhibit. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tori.
Of course.
Some of you folks might have been thinking of those very words, and personally, I would really love to hear from y'all which words you were thinking of. Come chat me after the program. I really want to hear from y'all. But I can guarantee that whatever words you were thinking of would accurately describe this kelp forest. It is calming, it is serene and beautiful, but it's also diverse and incredibly important. Every single animal in here plays a role in this community to help keep it in balance, just like all of us do in our own communities. So take a little bit of that with you whenever you're continuing your day, whether it's here at the aquarium or just out wherever you're coming from. But folks, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Once again, my name is Nick. I'm more than happy to chat if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for joining me here, and please have a great rest of your day here at the Monterey Aquarium. Thank you, everyone.